Hello everyone, I'm Charan Prajwal. I'm currently working at GeekyAnts as a DevOps Engineer. Welcome to this ArgoCD GitOps for Kubernetes session. In this session, we'll explore how ArgoCD simplifies Kubernetes deployments, how we can use Git as a single source of truth, and we'll also cover the core concepts of ArgoCD. Also, we'll dive deep into the core architecture. We'll see how we can use the single sign-on for configuring role-based access controls. And also, we will deploy a sample application in the end just to demonstrate the use case of ArgoCD, how it simplifies your Kubernetes deployments. Yeah, so let's get started. Yeah, the first question is like, what is ArgoCD, right? So it is a Kubernetes native continuous delivery tool. It is specifically for managing your deployments in the GitOps way. So it follows a declarative approach wherein you define how your app should look like and not how to deploy it. ArgoCD, the main core functionality is it connects your Git repo to the ArgoCD instance, and it watches your Git repo for any changes. As soon as when it finds any changes in your Git repo, it pulls them and makes sure it syncs the desired state to your Kubernetes actual state that is present. So this is how the basic functionality of how it works. And also, if there is, let's say, if someone manually logs into your cluster and makes any changes in the Kubernetes cluster, so it will detect those changes and flags it as a drift. So to make sure that you are aware of the possibility that there is a difference between your Git and the actual cluster environment. So, and also it provides you the visibility of your deployment automations and the detailed audit rates. So that means that if it provides you a UI, basically the web UI, giving you the complete view on how your cluster status is. It shows you the sync status, where if it tells you if your Git is in sync with the cluster or if there is any drift. It also tells you that it also gives you the rollback functionalities and much more. So we'll cover all those in the upcoming slides. Like if there is any wrong deployments that has gone and you want to roll back. So everything can be managed through the UI, or there's also an option called CLI, which we will be covering in the upcoming slides. Yeah. So this was a brief about the ArgoCD. Coming to the GitOps. Yeah. First of all, we have to think why GitOps, right? So yeah, let's talk about why GitOps matters first. So Git isn't just for your source code. You can use Git even for your Kubernetes deployments as well when you use ArgoCD. So it becomes a central plane for everything from your app deployments to your configuration changes. So even your Kubernetes manifests are version control. So you know exactly who changed what and when. And this brings you the auditability to keep a trace of everything that's happened. So it helps you to automate the deployments based on the Git commits. No more manual case of you logging into your cluster and running kubectl commands repeatedly, right? So that overhead is removed now. So let's say if something breaks, so there's nothing to worry. You can just revert it to the previous commit, and ArgoCD will restore that your cluster to that exact state where that commit was defined. It also minimizes your configuration drift. I mean, if it detects the difference between what's intended and what your cluster is actually live with. So it plays a bridge between the two and make sure it syncs both of them. And yeah, finally, GitOps also naturally boosts collaboration between your DevOps teams and your platform teams, all working off the different repositories. Yeah, it is a game changer. So it brings you clarity and so now let's talk about the architecture and the core components of the ArgoCD server, on how the workload has been managed and how it works internally. So yeah, the user has he can only interact using the web UI or the CLI. Once the interaction is made through any one of these, it communicates with the ArgoCD server. And then this Git repo is where your Kubernetes manifests or your Helm charts are defined. So yeah, this is once you connect your Git repo to the ArgoCD server, as I mentioned earlier. So this tells that if you make any changes to the Git repo, let's say you make a desired change here. So this repository server will detect that and pass on the desired change configuration to the application controller. So this application controller is the brain of this ArgoCD. So what it does is it continuously ensures that the desired state, what you are mentioning on your Git repo, what you are pushing it, so that is in sync with the cluster which it is deploying. So it makes sure there is a sync always, and it continuously monitors your Git repo. And also coming to the Redis and the Deck server. The Redis server is basically, as we know, it is just for the internal caching, and the Deck server is for us to configure the single sign-on to make sure your cluster is secure and accessible only with the right person. Yeah, so this is the basic components, and this is the basic Kubernetes workload that it has deployed, the basic deployments, replica sets, and pod. And then you have seen, you can also, with the single ArgoCD instance, you can connect 2 or more Kubernetes clusters. So that is what it has been demonstrated here. Yeah, now let's talk about the core concepts of ArgoCD. As I already told you, it maintains, I mean, the Git repos that you have for the Kubernetes. So that is linked with the ArgoCD through the applications. So you create an application, you link your Git repositories to your ArgoCD to make sure that there is a sync between the two, and ArgoCD acts as a bridge between your Kubernetes cluster and your Git repository. Yeah, so that is what about the first one. Yeah, and when you're talking about the sync strategies, so you basically have 3 types of sync strategies. One is the manual sync, which we'll be discussing, all the 3 strategies, which we'll be discussing. So first one is the manual. Manual is basically when you update your Git repo and you go to ArgoCD and tell that sync my repo to the cluster. Like you manually go and hit the sync button. That is what is about the manual sync. And coming to the auto sync, it is, as the name says, it is automatically synced. You don't have to manually go and tell the ArgoCD to sync your latest changes to the cluster. Once and when it detects there is a change between the actual state and the desired state which you have committed, once there is a difference, it automatically syncs your updates to the cluster. So you don't have to manually run it. And also it doesn't happen automatically. So it happens in like just 2 or 3 minutes. It takes 2 to 3 minutes, but it makes sure that it automatically syncs. And coming to the hooks. Hooks are for your advanced deployment. Let's say you want to deploy a backend app and you want to run some database migrations before you deploy your backend app, right? So at that time, you can use these hooks. Hooks are basically your Kubernetes jobs, which run at different stages of your Kubernetes deployment. Let's say there is a hook called presync. So you can use this presync hook to run database migrations, and then you want to deploy your backend app, right? So at that time, you can use a presync. Let's say there is also a hook called postsync. So that you can use when you want to alert your, let's say there's a use case that you want to alert your DevOps team on the deployment if it is successful or if it is a failure. So that you can configure Slack alerts or any team alerts from the hooks. So you can, as in when your deployment is done, you can notify your channel using a post sync hook or the webhook. Yeah, then coming about the rollback access controls and security, ArgoCD provides you enterprise grade access controls to secure your ArgoCD cluster. It is you define your policies, you attach those policies to a role, and that roles will be tied up to certain users as per your requirement. So it's a typical rollback access control, but you can also integrate your single sign-on here using any identity provider. You can use GitHub or Google or any other third-party identity provider of your choice. And you can use that to integrate with your cluster so that it is secure and only the right ones have the access. Yeah, now let's jump into the demo and let's see how ArgoCD works in action. So yeah, the first one I'll walk you through how single sign-on is configured here at GeekyAnts and how we use Google for Google sign-ons for role-based access control inside the team. This is my cluster. Yeah, so basically there is 2 config maps. One is the role-based access control config map. One is the role-based access control config map. The other one is the regular config map, which is already present. The first one is the first step which you want to edit. So this config map, once you open edit, when you try to edit, now you have this configuration, right? So you can provide any configuration, like you can use any auth tokens of any identity provider. And here you can provide those credentials here, the client ID, the client secrets, and what claims you want to use for the ArgoCD, and you can provide the URL here. The typical OAuth configuration you can define here. And once that is done, so there is another config map called as RBAC config map. This is a place where you will define your policies. right? So yeah, this is the policies. This is how we have defined. So these are all the policies that I have. Like let's say super admin, platform admin, app admin, and read only. So these policies are attached to a role called as the ones which I just told, the super admin, app admin, and all. So these roles are tied up to different users in my team. So this is how you can configure it. So if you just for example, if you see there is a super admin role which has access to everything, and there is also an app admin role who has access to everything but only to one project, let's say app of apps project. So this user, let's say app admin, right? Uh, App admin is probably not here. Let's say a read only policy. This read only policy is assigned to an user. This user has only access to one project. He can't perform any other actions on any other project. So this is how you can define policies, attach it to a role, and these roles can be attached to different users in your organization, so that to make sure that you don't give the wrong access to the wrong person. So yeah, to make sure that it is secure. Yeah, let's see how we have configured it in our ArgoCD server. So login to Google. So this is the user. This is super user. Let me try to log in with that. If you can see, this is the super user, right? So I can pretty much do any configuration in this cluster. I mean, as this user. So I can also delete a application which is already present. So we can see, yeah, I had that privilege, so I was able to delete it. Let's say if some read-only user, as I showed you before, yeah, this user, the 001 user, tries to perform some wrong actions. Let me log into that user. Let's try to delete an app. Yeah, he is restricted, so he can't do that. Yeah, which is expected. So this is how a basic overview of how you can configure single sign-on to your organization to make sure that it is secure. The only thing you have to do is you have to edit this config map, the ArgoCD config map, the default config map first, to add your single sign-on credentials. Once that is done, you can define your policies. After you edit both of the files, you just have to restart your ArgoCD instance, and your changes will be live. Yeah. So coming to the next demo that we have, we'll just deploy a simple app. We'll sample app and I'll just try to demonstrate how you can deploy your apps and how ArgoCD syncs them to the cluster. So let's see that in action. I'll log in as a super user again. Yeah, let's create an app. Let's create this guestbook app. So this is present in this repository, which is already present by ArgoCD, given by ArgoCD. So these are the some example apps which you can try for different use cases. This is an official repository, so I've just forked it from that. So yeah, I'll deploy it in the default project. For now, I'll keep it manual because, as I already mentioned, the auto deploy takes 3 minutes to sync, right? So anyhow, we'll be manually syncing it for this demo. You can use it if you on your production environments when you have flexibility on things. Yeah. You have defined the sync, and let's auto create the namespace here, and let's provide the URL. And the path will be just look. And the cluster which I want to deploy is the default cluster. In the namespace, I will call it as guestbook again. Recursive, yes, I want to recurse the files. Yes, can create that. Yeah, as you can see, this is exploited because I have the auto sync is not enabled. So it will be out of sync. You just have to click on sync. Synchronize, it will ask you what all resources you want to sync. I want to synchronize both the service and the deployment. The auto create namespace is already enabled. So once I click on sync, it's created the service deployments, the replica sets, and the pod. If you can just view the status, it is showing running, and the events that has occurred, it has been pulled and it's running now. There is no such logs as well, error logs as well. So this is basically how you deploy, how you connect your Git repository to the ArgoCD instance to deploy it to your cluster. So as you saw, there is no manual intervention, so that you have to do manually. So everything ArgoCD has taken care for us. As in when you update, let's update something and see how you can sync it to the cluster. Now, so I have it already present. So let's make some changes here. My service is fine. We will just make this replica as 3 instead of 1. So let's commit them. Sorry. Replica 2, 3. Yeah, I push the changes now. So let me go here. So when you push the changes, actually after some 1 or 2 minutes, the status which is showing now as synced will be shown as will give you a warning that it is not synced, it is not in sync. So it will detect those changes if there is a mismatch between the two, the Kubernetes and the Git. So we'll not wait for that now. So we know that it's updated in the Git and we can just hit the sync button, just that we can deploy our configuration. We have updated it to 3. Yeah, it has booted the extra 2 pod for us now. So yeah, this is how you manually update, manually sync it. Like if you just enable auto sync, this will be taken place by its own. You don't have to worry. And let's say now this your requirement is done and you don't want to want these 3 replicas of your pod running, or let's say you have pushed the wrong deployment. You want to roll back, right? You want to roll back to the previous stable version. So at that time there's an option here. You just have to roll back and just see, let's say I want to roll back to the version which I had, which there was replica 1. So here I can just go here, just click here and hit rollback. So once I hit rollback, it is back to the normal and it has been downsized to 1 replica. You can just see get services just to verify. It's been running. Just want to do a double verification in the browser once. Yeah, so your app is live. So this is how you can use ArgoCD to deploy your apps, and how you can benefit from the rollback feature, so that you can roll back, right? So that is what I wanted to say. So that was it. Yeah. Coming back to the ArgoCD. We have discussed about the sync and rollback. So once that is done, yeah. So this was pretty much about the first part of this ArgoCD talk. So we just saw how we can how ArgoCD simplifies our Kubernetes deployment through GitOps, and how Git becomes a single source of truth for infrastructure as well. When I say infrastructure, it is also for your Kubernetes workloads as well. So you can also manage infrastructure with that. So yeah, you can do both as well. So how you can use RBAC and sync strategies for better safety and control. So this was all about the first part that we have discussed now. Yeah, and then coming to the next slide. Yeah. So what's next, right? So what's there in the part 2? Part 2 will discuss the more advanced concepts. We'll see how you can use app of apps pattern to help you manage complex setups. As of now, I just showed you how you can deploy a single stateless app, right? So we'll see how you can deploy more than one apps, which is a microservice architecture. So how you can deploy that using app of apps pattern. We'll also see how you can use multi-cluster deployment. Let's say I showed you in the architecture how you can also add the multiple clusters, right? So we'll see how you can add multiple clusters to the same instance, and how you can manage deployments across them. We'll also see how you can integrate CI/CD, and see how the stages from how you commit your Git, and how the Docker builds, the Docker updates on your Kubernetes manifest repository, and that update being pulled by the ArgoCD. So the whole process will be automated. So that we'll see in the next part again. So yeah, and also the monitoring part using Prometheus. We'll fetch the metrics called of pods, and services if it is misbehaving. So all those metrics can be fetched and visualized through Grafana. So these things we'll be covering in the next part. Yeah, see you there. Thank you.